Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to wake up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi and Corey Clark.
War Chant back at it. I'm Aslan. He's Corey. The show's brought to you by For the Table Hospitality right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. We're reunited. Took a day off. Everybody get over it. It's all right. We're back. Corey, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing? Did you enjoy the day off?
No, I was too idle. I don't mind being lazy. Sorry, everybody. It's a character flaw. But I want to do something, man. I got to talk to the people. It makes me feel good. I love nothing like waking up. Corey, you roll over and you have a beautiful woman next to you. I roll over, I grab my phone. I got a bunch of ugly guys talking smack about me. So that's what fuels me. I had nothing to look at yesterday.
Well, that's okay, buddy. You just keep living the dream. I mean, your life is fun for some people. Yeah. And, when I'm up here, I roll over and have nothing next to me.
Touche.
Other than my iPad.
There you go. There's actually some news to talk about on this June 21st as we slowly creep towards kickoff on Labor Day. Football-wise, a big commit locked down by Willie Taggart and the crew. Derek Hunter, a defensive end from Dunbar High School in Fort Myers, Florida. I thought it was Lehigh, like Lehigh Acres, which is where Mario Henderson's from, but they got him down as Fort Myers Dunbar High School. 6'6", 285. Has gone ahead and pulled a trigger and committed to the Noles. Actually, I don't like saying that either. Let's stop doing that since we're no longer doing punching tickets. I don't want to do.
We don't want to pull triggers anymore either.
Not when it comes to like recruiting. And I'm not doing anything because of any sort of political stance. I just think that's a hack-and-eyed phrase. You need to figure something else out.
What about what is it called when you flick the bow when you do the bow and arrow?
Fling
what's that verb? You don't flick an arrow. What do you do to it? Just
pull? I mean, pulls the arrow?
You pull you fling the arrow instead of pull the trigger?
That's a good question. We have outdoorsmen out there, I'm sure, that go bow hunting.
That's got to be a verb, right? It's got to be a verb when you shoot. Is it just shoot? You shoot an arrow?
I guess.
I feel like that doesn't really encompass what you're actually doing because it's like two fingers and you're pulling a big old thing back and letting it go. Right. As you can tell, I'm an avid outdoorsman.
Yeah, clearly. Hunter,
me and Jimbo went bow hunting a lot in the off season.
Didn't you actually go with him when he got the camo put at the bottom of the truck? Like he bought it off the lot black, and you're like, Jimbo, I think you need to add some flair to it. And you guys kind of came to the agreement to do the camo on the bottom.
Well, yeah, I mean we were in our deer stand, and and that's when we had the conversation. Is that, man, black truck ain't going to get it done.
Right,
I can see it.
Yeah, duh.
We need to, if we're going to be out here in the woods, it needs to have some camo on it.
Gotcha. Look at that, man. Practical. Great solutions that you're offered him. So, again,
that's what I do.
Derek Hunter, 4-star defensive end. The crazy thing was we actually interviewed him during junior day over the spring, and, man, he gushed. I mean, he was gushing, going on about how awesome Florida State is, how awesome Coach Taggart and Coach Woody are. And then Michael Langston, our recruiting analyst, asked him, okay, well, who's like your top five then? And he goes like, Georgia, Florida, Penn State, Miami. And I don't even think he mentioned Florida State. And I'm like, well, what about Florida State? It's like, yeah, Florida State's in there as well. And it's like, what? Like, you just spent like a 10-minute soliloquy talking about how awesome this coaching staff is, and they're not even like in your top five or top three. But
well, he might have been told to like, hey, maybe act like you're not into us that much. Don't who knows how all this recruiting works and when you want kids to announce and not announce or act like they're slow playing you. All that stuff. It's hard to know in that world.
Yeah, so that's how I think it worked. I think what you just hinted at is what happens. I think they're like, listen, just let them think that they got a chance with you, and let them show the love, make you feel good, but then you come on home to us. So again, is he
a top 100 guy, top 250 guy? What do we got?
Top
on him?
250. He's the 157th overall in the nation, 18th in the state of Florida. Is the number 15 strong side defensive end in the entire nation. Class of 2019.
Oh, all right. Well, that's probably pretty good.
Yeah, maybe we'll bring on Michael Langston Friday to talk about it. But today's the Renegade Express. We've got plenty of questions to dive into. But before we get there, obviously a little bit of a somber note for Florida State athletics. And legendary golfer Hubert Green, who's part of the World Golf Hall of Fame, passed away on Tuesday at the age of 71 after a bout with throat cancer. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's the first Nole to win a major title in golf. He won the 77 U.S. Open and then the 1985 PGA Championship. He's also obviously since he's part of the World Golf Hall of Fame, Florida State also has them in their Athletic Hall of Fame. So, one of the more accomplished guys that's come through Florida State that's played golf. Azinger, obviously, in the mix there. Brooks Koepka's doing great things. Daniel Berger, Jonas Blix. But the OG, as the kids would say, Hubert Green kind of started it all. So a bit of a somber note as he passed away at the age of 71 on Tuesday.
And also, we should mention that Jack Stallings, too, who was I think he was the coach when Florida State made it to the title game in baseball in like 70 or 71, whenever they lost to USC, when USC won like 10 in a row. He passed away, too, I believe, on Tuesday. So Tuesday or Wednesday. So really, yeah, kind of a somber 24 hours for former Florida State greats.
Yeah, they got him down as a Georgia Southern head coach. But
he did coach at Florida State, though.
He did, you're right. Yes, College World Series 1970. 49, 9-1 they were on the season there. So 87, that's a heck of a run. On a more uplifting note, though, Jessica Warren, a.k.a. Jessie Warren, though, Corey, I don't know if you saw this, that play, the catch, are we going to call it that around Tallahassee, around Florida State? Are we going to call it the catch? Is that all we have to say?
I mean, I think so. I feel like, yeah.
Okay, well, the catch has been nominated for ESPY Top Play.
Just play? Like, what's it up against? Do we know?
I can find that out. Hold on. Way to ask that one, Corey. There's like 20 nominees.
Oh, boy, I didn't realize that.
Agunbowale, who hit the game winner for the women's national title.
Oh,
that's in there.
Yeah, that was something.
Stephon Diggs' touchdown catch to beat the Saints in the divisional round or whatever the heck we call in the NFL. That's in there. The Philly special, the fourth down touchdown pass to Nick Foles. The touchdown winner, Tua Tagovailoa, to Devontae Smith. Jesse Warren is obviously in there. LeBron's three-pointer to beat the Pacers in Game 5. There's a whole bunch of soccer goals. Gareth Bale, Cristiano Ronaldo.
So she's probably not going to win the ESPY. Not because it's not deserving, just because, I mean, listen to those names that you're throwing out there. You know, you have an NFL playoff game. You have LeBron James, Ronaldo. That's some stiff competition. It'd be cool if she was one of the actual nominees on the show that got to the actual show and she got to go out to LA and do all that. But it was an it's one of the best plays I've ever seen on a diamond. Maybe in the circumstances, literally one of the best plays you can ever imagine. But it's just, we know how voting works and how these kind of award shows works, and they don't want Jesse Warren to win that award if they're trying to get ratings. Quite frankly, they want LeBron to be there. So it'd be cool if she got nominated, though, like really nominated, and was one of the choices for on whatever day ESPY Day is.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Do you watch that show, by the way?
I never seem to get around to watching it.
I can't do it. I can't. I've watched the Valvano speech probably 50 times in my life. But other than that, I just can't get into the ESPYs.
Yeah. Hopefully, maybe she'll go out to LA though. I'm sure they'll fly her out there as
that'd be neat. Yeah, if she was one of like the finalists, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's mix things up here, Corey. It's Renegade Express. It's power to the people. Let's have you read some of these questions this time around, Corey, because obviously I have poor diction. Apparently, somebody said that I wasn't pronouncing the T in Martin. I guess I'm going to say Mike Marin. Mike Martin.
Yeah.
Mike Martin.
Yeah.
Mike Martin Jr. So you go ahead and take that onus off me and start us off. Light the candle, friend.
Well, let's see how you react to this and if it's good or not. Because if it's not, you're going to take back over.
Okay.
And I'm not going to do the wake up like you do wake up.
Come on.
Because apparently, no. Nope, I'm not that guy. I do it organically.
Right.
I don't just read it when somebody tells me to read it. But anyway, so here we go. We're going to start with True Nole. He's a gold member on the tribal council. He joins. Wow. So this is crazy, and this is probably going to be the last time I ever read questions. But when you look at the person's name, it says when they joined.
Right.
Like it has the date when they joined. Well, he joined September 11th, 2001.
Oh. Wow.
Anyway, True Nole asks, watching the U.S. Open last weekend with some friends and seeing the success that former Seminoles are having at golf, we got into a heated, alcohol-fueled discussion about which Nole athletes went on to have the most success after leaving school. In your opinion, Aslan, who are the top 3 FSU athletes in any sport who went on to have the most professional success after leaving school? And then he gives his 3. Deion is number 1, Buster is number 2, Derek Brooks is number 3. And then he says Deion was pretty unanimous, but the other 2 spots, there was plenty of disagreement. So what do you think? I would put Derek Brooks in front of Buster Posey.
Oh, really? I was going to say
I mean, he was a first ballot Hall of Famer.
And Buster's going to be.
And he might be, but, Buster's numbers, because part of it is because of where he plays and also his position. I mean, he might not hit 200 homers in his career. And there aren't many guys that don't hit home runs. There aren't many of them that are first ballot. He might be. He should be probably. He's a great hitter. But I don't know that you would say he's the best catcher of all time. I think you could legitimately say that Derek Brooks is the best outside linebacker of all time. But that's just my opinion. You go for it.
I always thought Brooks played like on the inside in the Tampa 2. I thought he was the guy that played because like the Tampa 2 isn't it 2 safeties up top and then one of the linebackers drops in the middle. I always thought that was like Derek Brooks's territory. But he is.
Why don't you just be quiet and answer the question?
All right. Well, Deion. Yeah, I mean, I guess right. Deion is the gold standard for cornerback, so obviously Deion's there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can't. Can you put Brooks? You can't put Brooks Koepka in front of Buster. I mean, I don't. Maybe you can. I don't know. I mean, it's an individual sport. To win the U.S. Open 2 years in a row, back to back. I think only 6 or 7 guys have ever done that before. But that feels very prisoner of the moment. That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good list, man. I mean, I'd say maybe like Gabby Reese in volleyball, but I don't know how. I mean, she became very popular. She became very famous, but I don't know how much of that was because she was still whipping butt playing volleyball. I think a lot of it was because she was on MTV doing like House of Style or whatever. Right. That's pretty good.
I mean, I think Dave Cowens is certainly in the conversation. Obviously a basketball Hall of Famer and might be he's one of the leading scorers in Boston Celtics history. NBA Hall of Famer, NBA World Champion, and then Walter Jones. I know he only played 1 year at Florida State, but he's considered legitimately one of the best tackles of all time. Not just a Hall of Fame tackle, but one of the best. And so, he deserves consideration too, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, the question is most professional success after leaving school. So,
right, so that was Walter Jones. I know he only had 1 year, but man, he was incredible in the NFL.
I think
he was a first ballot guy too.
Yeah, but I mean, he might be more decorated than Derek Brooks, but I think when people talk about great offensive linemen, I think they're probably talking about like Anthony Munoz and Jonathan Ogden maybe before they talk about Walter Jones. But then again, people probably talk about like Mike Singletary and Brian Urlacher when they talk about Derek Brooks. Oh, that's good. That's a good question, man. That's a good question. Hopefully the rest.
I think we're all right around it. You could throw Buster in there. I don't think Koepka deserves it quite yet. Win a few more majors and certainly. I mean, I don't even know
back to us. Yeah,
he's guaranteed to be a World Golf Hall of Fame member. I guess he would be, but. Three PGA titles to me doesn't put you ahead of a guy that's won 3 World Series. And also, True Nole, and I'm not trying to be somber. I'm really not. I'm genuinely curious. What a date to join War Chant. And Lord knows I'm very happy that you're joined, that you're a member. We love you. You're a great listener. These are always really good questions. Maybe next week, tell us how that happened, like how that came together. And I'm not being flippant. And I'm not being dismissive. I wonder if it was something like the news was so awful, so bad that it's like anything to take my mind off that. Let me get on War Chant because I love Florida State football, and I can not think about what just happened to my country for a few hours. Or, you know what I mean? I mean, what a day to join.
Or we're on the brink of the world ending, and he just wanted to maybe get like a couple barbs in on somebody he didn't like on the message boards, and he's like, well. Might as well say my piece before we're all done, but we're still here kicking.
Or wanted to know if they were going to get Deshaun Platt or Leon Washington or whoever it was.
There it is. That's the answer. It's been right in front of our face the whole time. Corey, hopefully all these good questions will keep rolling in. We need to take a break, though. We'll be right back. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Wake up! Corey's not going to do it because it has to happen organically. So I'm Aslan. He's Corey. It's Wake Up War Chants 97.9 ESPN Radio, brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. Corey, there's plenty more questions in the Renegade Express mailbag, right?
No, you know it, Aslan. You know it. Thanks, partner. Now we got another one from Rookie Baby, who joined in April of 2007. Is that too much information? Should I not give that away?
No,
I was just legitimately the first date I ever read for one of these Renegade Express questions was that date. So now I'm looking at all of them.
No,
but anyway,
it's a good thing. It shows that people who aren't members, they can get a free membership for 30 days using the War Chant 30 promo code. That listen, Gene has been rocking for this long, man. People have been hanging out for this long. 2007, good grief, man. What up, Rookie Baby?
2007, true. Noles been around for 17, coming up on 17 years. He's about to have his anniversary. Yeah, man. People, you join War Chant, it's for life. It becomes part of your life.
For life.
So anyway, Rookie Baby wants to know, first off, he tells us great show that we need to keep up the good work. All and right. Yeah, duh. I know the summer is rough, but the show is still great and runs smoothly. That's what we do.
Yep.
All right, and here we go. You listening, Aslan? You ready for this?
I'm buckled in.
In the case of student athletes getting paid, I know that it is a hard issue to figure out. I can't think of a way for athletes to get paid that would be fair across the board. I do believe that athletes should be compensated in some way. Like it or not, they are more valuable than the average student. They bring in much more money than the average student to a university. My question is, why is it such a big deal that a kid makes money profiting off their own name? A kid gets paid for his autograph and gets penalized by the NCAA. Why can't a kid sell his signature or have a successful YouTube page that makes money, like the UCF kicker? Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks. Go Noles. Aslan, you go first.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I don't know if it's the one last hill they want to die on is the whole aspect of amateurism. And I guess amateurism to them is being broke. I mean, the college experience is being broke, right? I mean, we were all broke when we were in college, most of us, I would think. So I guess maybe they want these guys to live the true, authentic experience and not be able to profit off their name. You know, people don't like hearing it, but at the end of the day, they're compensated with an athletic scholarship or an academic scholarship, rather. There's a whole bunch of perks they get, at least the football players. I know baseball has to split things up. You know, I'm not the Jay Billis guy. I'm not saying, oh, look at all this corruption, all the money going around, give it to the players. I'm probably more closer to Danny Cannell, where I feel like they have a pretty good arrangement. I don't know. I mean, part of me, I know it's all been exploded, the whole, romanticism of these guys playing for the love of their school and all that. I mean, if I knew a kid was, I don't know, DeAndre Francois spent the past weekend making $10,000 at the Orlando Mall, like signing autographs, I'd be like, what? I mean, like, you're a pro then. I mean, you're totally a pro. Like, there's something about it that would make me feel a little bit weird, but I guess that would be me being a hater, Corey.
Well, I don't know if that classifies you as a hater, but would he really get $10,000?
I don't know. If you even got like $3,000, I'd say like, dang, man, he's like 21 years old getting $3,000 to sit down and just sign.
Yeah, I just think what's bizarre is like when Georgia had Todd Gurley. And he got whatever he got, $1,000 for some autograph. Well, and they kind of they made it like Jameis Winston was part of that deal too, and there was never any proof that happened. But ESPN wrote it and then had to recant. But Todd Gurley was suspended 4 games for making some money off his autographs, and it's like, man, how many truly, how many Florida State players right now would make money off their autograph if it was a legitimate enterprise, not, hey, we're gonna quote unquote pay for your autograph, but here's a $500 just to keep you around. Yeah. But I'm gonna have a signing at the mall, and I'm gonna charge whatever I'm gonna charge. Who do you think makes money off this team?
Yeah,
makes real money.
Nobody. Maybe Cam. I think maybe that. I don't. Yeah, nobody. I don't think there's no nationally sort of name that just echoes and rings across the country like Jameis's name did.
Right. Yeah, Jameis would have made a ton of money off it. But, yeah, man, Cam probably, and other guys, might get $5 here and there. Cam could probably charge 10. I don't know. But how many people would show up? But either way, that doesn't bother me. I get what you're saying, but it just doesn't bother me because it's not the school paying them. And Cam Akers' name, people want his autograph because he's really good. And if you're really good and you deserve, and people want your autograph, and in a year from now you're going to be selling it anyway, why can't you make a profit of your name then? I'd like the swimmer that I think Katie Ledecky, isn't she a swimmer now in college, and she's like the best in the world?
Oh yeah.
like, I'm sure she could go to these swim meets around the country and make a ton of money selling her name, just signing autographs. I don't know that that's against amateurism. You know, if she was just an Olympian and then turned pro, she could do it. She could probably do it at the Olympics. I don't have a problem with that, and I don't have a problem with, you know, if a bunch of number 5s are being sold in the bookstore, man, we know why they're being sold. And it's not because of C.C. Davis or Reggie Northrup or whoever. It's because of the quarterback. And, you know, who gets that money? The kid that made that number popular, the kid that's the reason they're all wearing the number 5 jerseys in the stands, he doesn't get a dime from it. That to me seems bizarre.
I will say this, like I like Willie's sort of idea. I don't know if he came up with it, but I know he vocalized it. The whole like the trust fund kind of thing built up where these guys get money and then it waits for them when they're done. I'm cool with that. I just don't know. I mean, it's enough to see these kids driving $50,000, $60,000 cars that cost more than my parents. You know, that's one thing, and we all kind of, you know, it's part of the deal, I guess. But like, if these guys, if they were making just steady money doing all these side hustle sort of things, I don't know, just for me, it takes a little bit away.
But how many do you think would do it? Like, who does that really apply to?
But then doesn't that create, you know, I don't know, that's going to create disharmony in a locker room. At least if everyone's broke, everybody's broke. If everyone's getting the bad guy, everyone's getting the bad guy. You know, if everyone knows that Cam, you know, this past weekend we were all, you know, doing nothing, maybe working out. Cam came and worked out for 2 hours of the weekend. Otherwise, he was at, you know, Governor Square Mall and he made like $3,000. I don't know. That might create some sort of discord. I don't know. They can. I have no problem them collecting it afterwards. But I get what you're saying. How many of them could really clean up? But I think when you start getting into that, you know, the fact that some are, some aren't, that's just going to create all more problems. You know.
But you know, what's weird about it is you know, in the Rookie Baby, my man Rookie Baby, says all student. He kind of uses all student athletes like as under one umbrella. But in reality, it's just football players.
At least the Florida State.
The problem with football now is that how much money is in the sport, not just the salaries, the stadiums, the renovations, the TV money is through the roof. None of the other sports are making that much money. College basketball doesn't make that much money. It makes like 10% of what college football does, if that. So there's not that big a disparity in my mind between, you know, Coach K making whatever he makes, $11 million a year. Well, if Duke wants to pay for that, fine. But you know, Willie Taggart making $5 million, Jimbo making $7.5 million, and the kids actually on the field that are producing the kind of revenue that can pay them that much money. You know, the reason they get paid that much is because these schools know they can afford it. That's where, I mean, I've always just had it's been the way college football has exploded financially. It's bizarre again that nothing has really changed with the way the student athletes are compensated, the football players are compensated.
All right. No offense to Rookie Baby. I'm done talking about this.
I'm not smart enough to know what you could do to make it fair. You can't just start paying them $100,000 a year each player because they're not all worth $100,000.
And there goes the problem. All right, let's move on. Something else. What else?
Right,
what else?
Sorry. And also, if you had to pay the football players too, then say goodbye to beach volleyball. And nobody wants that because you can't afford to keep all these sports and pay the football players. Oh man, these are long questions. Are they always this long?
Sometimes you can cut through them. You know, you're good. You have editor blood in you, I'm sure.
All right, I got one more. I'm sure we have to go to a break soon because that was a long one.
That was.
This is from BC Noles, who's been a member for 13 years, coming up on 13 years.
What up?
He says, guys, fellas, gentlemen, wake up with 4. See, nobody's going to want me to do this anymore. This is Corey's last trip as the pilot. And then he says, I love you too, Corey Clark. I appreciate that, BC.
Nice.
All right, here we go. This is a slight throwback to a couple of weeks ago, but UCLA softball had a center fielder by the name of Bubba. It got me to thinking, since Aslan is the ladies' man tearing up the dating app circuit, I was wondering, would you go on a blind date with a girl named Bubba? I know I wouldn't. I'd be afraid. Keep up the good work, guys. He says, I know I wouldn't. I'd be afraid. Would you be afraid, or would you go on a blind date with a woman named Bubba?
I like living on the edge, man. For
razor's edge.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think the risk reward is really good there. I knew a girl when I was in high school. Her name was Pee Wee, and you're like, oh wow, she was super pretty though. So I would feel like it's going to be a good story either way. Either it starts off, I tell everybody I'm on a date with a girl named Bubba, and then I'm like, dude, she was like, a bombshell. Or it was like, yeah, it was every bit of a Bubba. And then we just start laughing about it. Just one date. Bad dates are kind of good for the soul, too. Kind of lets you appreciate the good ones a little bit more, Kind of like a 7 and 6 season.
The worry you would have there, though, man, is what if it's a good date? And then what if your girlfriend's name is Bubba?
That's
like, you know what I mean? What if it goes really well? It's
always
you can have bad, it doesn't matter what their name is when you have a bad date.
Right.
It's just done. You write it off. But you're going to have a good date, and you're going to date her again and again, and then you're going to be boyfriend, girlfriend, and you're going to be dating someone named Bubba?
Well, my friend, his nickname is Bippy, like Pippi Longstocking, but with a B, Bippy.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure his wife has successfully indoctrinated him to becoming William, which is his given name. So you can change. You can make people change. People do things for love. Yeah, I mean, if it won't good, eventually I'd be like, well, can I call you Nicole, Bubba? And if she was like, no, then I'll deal with it, Take the good with the bad.
Yeah, I mean, I
have some good bloodlines right there.
Hard time.
Center fielder for UCLA softball. I'll take those genetics. I'll live with that. That's fine,
Do you, Aslan, take the Bubba to be? I mean, that can't happen. You're not going to date a girl named Bubba.
What's there?
It's almost like it's like, yeah, there's just no way.
2018. Open
do we have
mind.
time? Hey, driver, do we have time for one more?
We don't. We got to go to break, man. Or is there how quick?
These questions are so long.
All right, well then how about this? We'll go to break and you can figure out a way to cleverly shoehorn all these in because we only got 2 more segments and we got phone calls. Maybe we'll do the phone calls tomorrow.
Oh, man. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we'll fly through them. I'm just not a real fast reader, but I'll try my best.
All right, we'll be back. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Darn pop-ups and video ads.
Are you wasting your time again on clickbait FSU updates that are bloated down with ads?
Yeah. And after crashing my computer, the information isn't even up to date. You're on warchant.com. What's really going on with the Seminoles?
For the real scoop, you'll need to get your own War Chant subscription.
What's it cost?
Free. There's a 30-day trial offer right now.
You know I like free. Sign me up.
Use the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Nobody has more accurate and timely information on the Noles than warchant.com.
Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole source.
Welcome back to the program. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio. I'm Aslan Hajavani, Director of Digital Media for warchant.com. He's Corey Clark, Senior Writer and Columnist for warchant.com. If you could, hop on over to iTunes. Leave us a review. 5 stars preferably, at least for Corey's sake, because he's the man. Corey, keep it rolling, man, on the Renegade Express.
I love it. We got a little MFA 1169.
Oh.
Been a member for coming up on 3 years now.
All right, welcome.
He says, what up, Wake Up? Keep grinding through the summer for us fellas. We appreciate the work y'all doing. The show.
Nice. Nice.
Good stuff. Anyway, he's got 3 questions, but we got to burn through these, so I can't get to all of them.
Okay.
The one I like the most is, well, there's 2 of them. So should FSU schedule more opening games versus teams like Purdue, Iowa State, Vanderbilt, Cal, lower-level Power 5 teams? Because do we want a better chance of getting in the playoff, or do we want to see great season or opener matchups for million-dollar paydays?
I want games.
What about it, Aslan? What do you think, buddy?
I want games that Florida State can win, but the administration wants money. So, yeah.
Yeah, and the difficulty there is it's hard to get like Purdue just to come to your place. That's a Big Ten school. They're going to want a home and home, or they're not going to do it because what's in it for them? Yeah. They're. I mean, you could give them a payday, but a Big Ten school coming for just to play in your place is going to be $2 million. So I would assume that would probably be the going rate. I mean, you have to pay some of these schools 1.1 from the Sun Belt. So I would assume Purdue would want 2 or 3 to come to Doak Campbell. That's the problem with scheduling 4 or 5 teams just to come to your place. And I don't know that you want to do a home and home with Purdue. So this way you do these neutral site games, you make money, and you don't necessarily rob your program of a home game every other year because you're on the road playing Purdue. Yeah, it's hard, though, man.
Let's be honest.
It's a hard deal.
Alabama was a little much. Like Auburn, sure. LSU, that'd be cool. Like Alabama, no. Like, I mean, who wants Alabama? I don't. I mean, no, we want Bama.
There was no reason to do it.
Yeah.
You gained nothing from it. The beauty of it was, and I first guessed this last year, that you could lose it and still be in fine for the playoff, but then your margin for error is gone, and Alabama does not lose those games ever. They just don't.
No.
Did you think that Florida State was going to win that game?
I predicted on the radio show because I was the Florida State guy in Alabama, and I had to fight the good fight. But, I mean, if you would put a gun to my head, I probably would have picked Bama.
Yeah, and me too. I mean, I did. I didn't see any way Florida State was going to win that game, and they actually played well, better than I thought, until Francois was bad in the third. You know, he was good. He was pretty good in the first half. There's a pass interference call that should have been made that cost them some points. And then the second half, it was awful. It was an awful offense, and that was before he got hurt.
Yeah.
Anyway, last one, real quick, from old MFA 1169. Who has a better shot to beat Clemson this season, FSU or A&M? FSU has the athletes to match up with the Tigers, but Fisher knows how to play Clemson very well. Clemson is on the road for both.
Ooh. Yeah,
that's a good one, right?
I'll be the homer guy. More homer. Be a homer. Yeah, I'm going to say Florida State.
I don't like A&M's chances of beating that team. They do play them earlier, maybe, so the quarterback position might be a little in limbo. So that's maybe a advantage. I think by the time Florida State plays Clemson, they'll know who their quarterback should be. And it'll probably be better than the guy they had last year. Boom. Anyway, got another one from a misplaced Seminole who joined on Friday.
Hey. We got
one from 17 years ago, and one that joined Friday. Come on, people. Welcome aboard. It's a big boat. All of you guys can hop on.
Part of the fam misplaced, Noel.
All right, so here we go. Hey, guys, so I'm way out on the other side of the country, and I love my Noles, but I'm married with 2 boys, so I'm extremely broke as a joke. Like a lot of folks, I cut cable, and I'm streaming through the Fire Stick. Okay. My question is, will the ACC network be up as an app on the Fire Stick? You guys may not know, but just wondering. I'm a mailman, so I listen to you guys on YouTube while I work, and it's very refreshing to hear anything about the Noles and not about the crappy Pac-12. Love you guys, and especially you, Ira. Come on now. Yeah, Ira.
Whoa.
Nobody loves Ira.
That's not the way you ingratiate yourself.
Come on, misplaced. You are a misplaced Seminole. You have love that's misplaced. What do you think? Will that be an app? I don't really know how Fire Stick works.
I would think so. I mean, so the whole thing is that it is going to be a linear channel. That is, like, if you have cable and you're flipping through the channels, you'll pass ESPN, ESPNU, SEC Network, and you'll land on the ACC Network. I mean, if they have, I think ESPN, most of their games will probably be on, ESPN Plus or whatever they're calling it these days. So I'm sure the games that they're going to put on ACC Network only, you'll probably be able to get on, through the apps that they have on the Fire Stick, as long as it's not one of those jailbroken ones, because then that's when you get into all sorts of trouble. But I would think so, man. That's the way everything's moving. I think you can get that if you can get the SEC Network on the Fire Stick, which I'm pretty sure you can. I don't see any reason why they would not put ACC Network on there.
It's pretty crazy. They're still banking on that ACC Network like it's 2008.
So much.
I hope it works. I hope it keeps us all employed forever. Making Florida State money, so it's a relevant program in every sport, and we all get to keep covering it. But it just seems like a big bet for the way the wind is blowing when it comes to this.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Now I'm going to read the one from West Duval Knoll here because it's short. Okay. My man's been a member since December of 2013. So 3 weeks before the national championship win. All right. Up this week on bucket list sports venues to attend a game at. College basketball courts. Is there any outside of Duke, UNC, Kentucky, and Kansas that you have to go see on your bucket list?
No, that's probably it, right? Unless you want like Pauley Pavilion, like go see UCLA, but
that doesn't seem. There's a lot of history there, but it doesn't seem like a special place.
It'd be cool, and I'm going to get it confused, and people are going to yell at their, monitor or whatever, and I can't hear you, so don't yell. The Pit, is that New Mexico State?
Yeah, I think it's New Mexico. It might be New Mexico. It's definitely in New Mexico. I thought it was New Mexico.
New Mexico or the Lobos. New Mexico State's the Cowboys. Yeah, New Mexico, the Lobos. I think that the Pit.
New Mexico State's the Aggies.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so I think, maybe the Pit, go up. But otherwise, you nailed it right there. Chapel Hill, Dean Dome, Cameron Indoor, Rupp, and Fog Allen Fieldhouse. Yeah, Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, I'd go see. The Kansas one is the one I want to go to. I've been to Duke, and I've been lucky enough to beat a Duke and UNC. UNC honestly wasn't all that. It's cool to see all the banners, and it's huge, but it's not that great a place. Duke is Duke. It was really cool, and it's really, really small, much smaller than you could ever imagine. Really, it just feels like a glorified high school gym, but it's awesome. And then Kentucky I haven't been to either. I'd like to go to Rupp. But Kansas is the one I definitely want to go to the field house.
Yeah.
So that would be it. I can't think of another college one. I would like to go to Madison Square Garden for an NBA game.
Yeah.
But who's got the time to fly to New York?
What about the Carrier Dome?
About what?
I'm kidding. I was saying the Carrier Dome. Go watch Syracuse, but no, the Carrier Dome's a dump. There's no air conditioning.
I've been there for football.
Yeah.
I watched Jameis Winston throw for like 400 yards in the Carrier Dome. All right, we got one from our guy Garnett 76. Been a member for over 11 years, or coming up on 11 years. I mean, this is long, so I'm gonna try my best I can. He's wanting to know. He says, seems like Corey thinks the Jimbo Fisher that A&M is getting is the one that's closer to the 2013 version. But he says, I'm not sure that person even exists. When I look back at 2017 and see a coach who quit recruiting, cussed out a fan at a game, blew off booster events, made a bunch of poor coaching hires who wound up fighting with each other, had players loafing, had abysmal and declining academic performance, and couldn't even quit eating dinner during a 5-minute phone call with Jeff Cameron, I see a coach who has gone so far off the rails that it's hard to believe he can just hit the reset button and go back to the 2013 version. By the way, Garnett, that's a very good point.
Wow. Yeah, dang.
There is a chance he could be just not that guy that he was 8 years ago, 6 years ago, when he was really hungry. I mean, there is a chance.
He's like Rocky Balboa in Rocky 3, man. Like before, like the first Clubber Lang fight, right? Like he hasn't had the eye tiger anymore, man. He got civilized.
Right. But then maybe he has the first Clubber Lang fight. He gets punched in the mouth like 2017 did to him.
Like Boston
College. He goes trains with Apollo Creed, beats him in the race on the beach. They hop around like best friends in the ocean, and then he goes and beats Clubber Lang. You never know how it's going to work out.
Well, so
but he does say, Garnett says that he thinks that Texas A&M will be getting 9 to 10 win season, decent bowl games, and second fiddle status to Texas, which isn't bad, but may not go down well for $75 million. I don't know about second fiddle to Texas. I mean, it will be maybe perception-wise, but I think A&M and Texas will be very similar records-wise for the coming years. In fact, I think Jimbo has a better shot to do well than Herman. I could be wrong there, but I certainly wasn't impressed with what Herman did his first year. Anyway, on a lighter note, why not have football coaches wear the same uniform as the players, just like baseball coaches? What do you think?
I don't know. You're the baseball guy.
Well, I don't understand why baseball coaches do it. It's really weird. But then he makes a point of how cool would it be to see Leonard Hamilton dressed up like a basketball player? It is odd that baseball managers do that. Why do they do that?
I can't see them wearing anything else, though. Like, can you picture 11?
Not anymore, because it's just ingrained in us.
Yeah. Like, could you imagine Bobby Cox just wearing a polo shirt and slacks?
But who made the decision way back when that football coaches were going to wear hoodies and sweatshirts, but baseball coaches were going to wear the full uniform, and basketball coaches were going to dress like they were on the cover of GQ? Who dictated that a basketball coach has to dress like he's going to a wedding or a funeral for every game? A football coach gets to just put on whatever sweatshirt he has by the bed, and a baseball coach has to go try to squeeze into a baseball uniform.
Well, no one's broken. Well, apparently here, the internet, CNN.com, says that back in the day, originally, the manager would also be available to participate in the game. So that's why he would wear the uniform, and we just haven't changed it since then.
I feel like there's a time for a change. I know Connie Mack, who coached the A's back in the 1910 or 1920s, he would wear a suit in the dugout.
Let's bring it back. I'm all about it.
Hey, man, how cool would that be?
Let's ask
11 in a suit.
Yeah, 11, final year. Let's just do something crazy, bud. I'm all about it. Let's see if we can make it happen.
Switch it up, man. And again, I like Mike Martin. This isn't a shot. But, man, you've been wearing that uniform for almost 4 decades, and you haven't won the title yet. Maybe switch it up and wear a suit to all the games.
And then Garnett 76 gets immortalized into Wake Up War Chant lore.
Look good, coach good, right?
Yeah, that's what Dion said,
man.
Right,
just saying.
All right.
I think that's about it, buddy.
Okay, well, we got one.
I think I hit them all.
All right, well, we got one final segment. We'll maybe we'll go to the phone lines. We'll see. We'll be back.
Oh, no, I'm wrong. There's one more.
All right.
Should we save it or not worry about it or do it in the next segment?
Let's do the next segment. We'll tease forward. More questions. You guys are generating all the great topics and conversation today. Thanks for it. We'll be right back.
Love you guys.
It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
He's Corey Maslon. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio, brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. We're still getting to your questions. We might have to do some leftover stuff potentially on a Friday. We might do a Friday show. We might not. We're going to keep you hanging on a limb, but we won't make you wait that much longer to get the questions that were on the Tribal Council. So without further ado, Corey, there's one stuck at the bottom of the bag.
Yes, there is. Got it out. It's from FSU guy 1989. Coming up on his 1-year anniversary. Joined in August of last year.
Nice.
Probably joined last year thinking, I can't wait to be a part of a Tribal Council when we make this run to the national championship.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And then that happened.
Yep. Preseason number
Anyway,
3.
he says, "Wake up, dudes." But he says it with an exclamation point. And I don't feel like there you go. There it is. Dudes. When football finally comes back and we have the very first yet meaningless games on that last Thursday, Friday in August, I always tune into them to finally watch some football that is real and I don't know the outcome of. However, I only watch about a quarter and a half at most. My questions for you are, how long do you watch, and which is a more intriguing matchup, UCF versus UConn or Northwestern State versus Texas A&M?
The latter. Yeah, I don't want to watch UCF and UConn. I'll watch Jimbo. I miss Jimbo.
I can tell you that I'll probably tune in for about a quarter of the A&M Northwestern State game. I'm not intrigued by either of them, but I would like to see. I will be interested to see what that looks like in another uniform.
Is that actually like really A&M's first game, Northwestern State, or was he just like spitballing?
No, I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah, that's who they play. Yeah.
No, I'm the same with him. I'll watch for probably about a quarter and a half, and then I'll leave it on in the room, and I'll just kind of go back to doing whatever I'm doing. And then like in the third quarter, I'll be like, oh, look at that, it's 49-7. And then, but yeah, that's the thing. We're so excited. We're like fiending. We're like, oh, football, I need it. Put it into my veins, directly into my veins. And then it comes on. You're like, all right, well, when the
this got boring in a hurry.
Yeah, that's how it always happens. But yeah, no, I'll watch A&M take on Northwestern State. I think that's definitely way more intriguing.
Yeah, I think I will too.
Yeah. All right. That's it for those questions from the folks on the Tribal Council. We appreciate it, but there's also calls.
And I apologize. Let me apologize to everyone. We're not doing this. We tried this. I don't need your feedback to tell me I'm terrible at reading questions. I know I don't have that kind of energy that a question reader needs to have. I tried to tell Aslan that. He told me to suck it up, and he's running the show, so I did. But next week we'll get back to what you guys really want.
All right. Let's go to the phone lines. Wake up.
Good morning, guys. This is Danny, Tallahassee. You guys were talking about transferring. I wanted to chime in on paying of players in college football. My solution would be to have the NFL fund the NCAA $10 million a team or $320 million a year from the NFL teams and have it cut up in between all of the Power 5 schools, divide it all up amongst the 85 players, pay half of it each month to the players, and then the other half after they graduate college, they can tap into the rest of it. That's my solution. Hope you have a good one. Thanks.
All right, Danny. That's different. I'm all about
that. I hadn't heard of that. I don't think his idea wouldn't work. They wouldn't do it, number one. I don't think the NFL wouldn't do that. But it is they have gotten, unlike Major League Baseball and now the NBA really with their developmental league, the NFL has gotten away for eternity without having to pay for its own minor league system. The college football pays for itself, and they just pick up the guys they want, pick them off, without having to develop them. So I get where he's coming from in that instance. The problem would be, why in the world would Purdue get as much as Alabama and Florida State? They're not producing nearly – and Purdue maybe is a bad example. Vanderbilt. They're not producing nearly as much NFL talent as these other teams. There's there's probably a top 20 – Clemson, people like that. It wouldn't be fair to me. It wouldn't be equitable for Vanderbilt and Purdue and Arizona to get the same amount of money as Alabama, Florida State, and Clemson. That makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
it's all right.
It
got real quiet there. You okay?
I was sorry. I was looking down at my phone, which I shouldn't do because we're focused on you. Focus on Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
For real.
Yeah, I mean this is the thing. Like, there's no equity in this. I mean, equity is the wrong word to use. It's hard to make this fair, and I know life is not fair, but there's nothing that makes things less fair than when you start putting money on the table and everyone's not getting a fair share of the pie. And again, like it's like you said, it's hard to imagine certain schools getting the same amount of money. I mean, why should Wake Forest football get as much money as Florida State football? You know, I mean,
they do, right? They get the same amount of money from the TV contract, which is nuts when you think about it. You want to talk about socialism? Florida State is funding Duke and Wake Forest and Boston College. Florida State and Clemson is essentially funding those programs because there's no way they would have the TV deal they would have in the ACC network they are getting without having big-time football schools. In the ACC, because of Florida State and Clemson, have two huge football schools. And they get the same amount of money as Wake Forest and Georgia Tech.
Last question for the day. It's a long one, so we'll go out on this one, Corey.
Aslan and Corey, what's up, man? This is Kevin. I'm up here in Radford, Virginia. Big Nole fan. I'm actually only about 15 minutes away from Blacksburg. And I know earlier in the week you talked about Tech fans. And I've got to say that they are probably the worst in this area, especially for a Noles fan anyway, being in Tech territory. But the biggest thing that they give me a hard time about is the 99 or 2000 national championship game. They claim their fame is Peter Wart should not have been playing in that game. So I believe that's why they're always salty. I also just want to touch on Jimbo. I know a lot of people hate on him. And I kind of agree. You know, he did us the way he left was not necessarily ideal, but I mean, can you blame the man for leaving for $75 million? I'd like to see anybody who listens to this show turn down $75 million guaranteed dollars. So you can't blame the man for that. And plus, he did, you know, great things in his tenure here at Florida State. Just wanted to call and say, love the show. I love you guys. The music you all play is phenomenal. It always starts my morning off right. And just love to hear some more about the upcoming recruiting class. I know it's a long way away, but still I like keeping up with the recruits and just like to hear more about that.
All right, man. Fantastic. Thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate that, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, not really much to add about Jimbo. He left for a lot of money. It's not ideal. Again, I don't know at what point has a coach ever left and everybody's been okay with it. I know you talked about UCF. They're fine with, Scott Frost even, but I just think that's apples to oranges. But yeah, and that's all I really have to add to that. I mean, I don't know, why shouldn't Peter Work have been playing? Because the whole Dillard's fiasco? Get over it, Hokie fans. It's over. You're never going to win anything of substance, of substantial value. Just be middle tier and everything and deal with it. We're elite. You're not. Tell them that, Kevin.
There you go. Well said. But also, he paid his penance. He didn't win the Heisman Trophy because of that Dillard's thing. It was he got a huge discount. He got a hookup at a department store for $400. It was nuts that it was a felony charge. It was just nuts. And it was, if anybody knows that case, it's preposterous that was brought up as a felony and not as the misdemeanor that it should have been. And either way, it was taken care of. He missed 2 games, blah, blah, blah. It cost him the Heisman, but he still won a national championship. Hey, real quick, before I answer his question, I wanted to go back, and I think I answered the previous question about the money the NFL would pay differently than it was asked. But my point remains that, again, if you're splitting up the money evenly, so each team gets $10 million, well, again, why does the left guard at Purdue get the same amount of money as the left guard at Alabama? That's why that's where the equity comes into it. I know that was for paying the players. The NFL should subsidize it. I get that, but there's still not a fair way to distribute the money. Anyway, back to that question. Yeah, I didn't realize Virginia Tech fans were still upset about the 99 game.
Was that sarcasm?
They did well for them. They accounted well for themselves. They had a lead in the fourth quarter. But they introduced the world to Michael Vick. That was a fun game for them.
When you have no major national championships and you see Florida State, and golly, we don't have a lot of time, but we're the last guys on the block. There was last call, or it was musical chairs, and there was one golden throne left. Every other program that was established and was winning in the 70s and the 80s and the 60s and before then has pretty much come back on top, of the exception of Army and Navy, obviously. But that's why so many people probably resent Florida State, is the fact that this school in the middle of nowhere in Florida came out of nowhere and just started winning big and beating everybody that was big time. And we're the last ones. I mean, when you think about all the teams that have won national titles in recent years, man, Alabama, Ohio State, You know, I mean, even if you want to count the lousy Gators, I mean, LSU, these are schools, these are programs that were rather flagship universities in their state, and they've been around forever. And then it's like, oh yeah, we weren't playing intercollegiate athletics until, you know, like 1951 or whatever it was. Like, yeah, we're actually we were a female institution, but after, you know, the Great War, when we defended the world championship against the Japanese and the Italians and the Germans, like, we came back and we're like, all right, we're going to start letting guys here and we're going to play football eventually. Like, there's got to be huge resentment. I think that's a large part of why the national media resents it too. It's because these guys went to schools that are, you know, Northwestern and Syracuse and all these, you know, Missouri, all these long established journalism schools, and they frankly aren't any good at any sports. And then Florida State's winning all these other, you know, all these important sports, and it's like, where did they come from? Because so many times I'll see certain teams, like College World Series, you see Coastal Carolina wins. I'm like, what the Mississippi State? Like, I don't want to see Mississippi State win a national title before Florida State does in baseball. So I resent those schools. But they haven't won anything that big. I mean, Mississippi State's never won any of them. And then, you know, Florida State's won national championships in football, and they've made to the final championship game in basketball, and they won a national championship in track and softball. So I don't know. I went on a really big tangent there. I'm sorry, Corey, if you want to, you know, tell me to shut up.
I don't have anything to add to that. I feel like you summed it up all on your own. That was kind of an Aslan thread, and you unraveled it pretty well. I will say this. I have no doubt now that Mississippi State is going to win the national championship. They were one strike away from losing 2 in the regional and being done.
Yeah.
And then my man hangs a changeup, and now they're they're 1 win away from being in the championship series in Omaha.
Yeah.
Ain't that something? Ain't that something?
Baseball's a funny game, man. Well, here's a good thing. We have plenty more questions to get to, but we don't have enough time today. So this most likely will guilt us into coming back on a Friday on June 22nd to entertain you folks. You know, Kevin's like, hey, man, we start the day off, so I feel like we should do
that should have made you feel good, too, about the music, that he was a big fan of the music.
Yeah, I try, man. I appreciate that. Yeah.
That's all Aslan, folks. He does all that. Sometimes he'll ask for a suggestion, and I pretty much just always say Garth Brooks or Hank Williams.
I played Hank Williams the other day.
Listens to me.
Did you hear? I played Country Boy Can't Survive the other day.
I did not hear that. No, I don't ever listen to this show. Are you crazy?
You're the worst. He's Corey Aslan. Thanks for listening. It's Wake Up War Chant. We'll talk to you later.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.